Welcome to Secrets from the Saddle podcast. I'm Sylvie, your host, fellow cyclist, bike club founder, cycling coach, bike race junkie, just truly super passionate about cycling. My journey with cycling started 20 years ago when I opened a spin studio, started a women's race team, and founded a women's only cycling club called Cycle Fit Chicks. I'm super thrilled to reveal all aspects that make the world of cycling operate. I'm so excited to be able to bring you interesting people from around the world, pro cyclists, recreational cyclists, coaches, event organizers, bike shop owners, everything and everyone you need to know or ever wondered about when it comes to cycling. I know you'll enjoy this episode. All right, welcome back to another episode of Secrets from the Saddle, all things cycling podcast with your host, Sylvie Dow, here in beautiful Chelsea, Quebec, Canada. And how are you guys doing? Yeah, the fall is upon us. All the beautiful colors are off the trees pretty much, and we're slowly migrating into our deeper, colder fall and winter. Are you guys excited? Are you excited about training inside? Well, before we get started on that, I just want to say that this work thing is really cutting into my podcasting time. I don't know if you noticed, but I've been late, and I can only build on the excuse that I'm working too much now, which was not the plan. But it is what it is. And one of those things about working in the service industry, you can't just take a day off because things need to get done within the job. And you just can't leave it for somebody else. It doesn't work that way. There have responsibilities. So, but I'm like, I think I need to take back some of my days and focus on some more of my personal business stuff, even though I'm super enjoying what I'm doing. Anyways, but that is not your problem. But I am here late again for Friday's episode, the coaches episode. But so this morning, before we get into it, my winter training program has started, but if you've been thinking about it and you're starting to get onto Swift, you're a new cyclist, or maybe you've been cycling for a couple of years and this is you're migrating into the Swift world with friends and you're super excited, but you have no idea what you're doing. This might be a good program for you. I encourage you to check it out. Take a moment and text the word 819-809-0999 to check out the details. Like I was saying, we've started, but that doesn't mean that you can't join us at any time. Like, so maybe right now is not the right time. You've got yourself set up. You don't need the extra help. But, maybe in a month's time or 2 months' time in January, maybe I'd like some structure. Maybe I'd like to actually learn some cycling skills and how to get better. Why is everybody passing me all the time on Swift? It's like one of those accelerated things that, you thought you were slow at home on the hills, but now it's actually accentuated because you've got hundreds of people passing you. Totally get it. And, or maybe you start trying some of the racing and you're like, dang, how do I get faster and better? So take the guesswork out and join the program. You don't have to start from the beginning. So I just want to make sure that you know that. You can start at any time because it's a membership based. It's $49 Canadian. So a month plus an add-on if you want to do the strength training portion. And it's fun because we have people from Europe who are joining us. And even though you might not be able to join our Thursday night training, you can get the recording and work a week behind. And that's what we have a couple people doing because she's in Denmark and one's in the UK. And, so they're 1 week behind, but training on the same days, but joining our Saturday morning group rides and with live video on Facebook, which is really fun because now we can build a community. We can see each other. We can chat with each other and ride together at the same time. So I encourage you to take a look at that. Again, text the word 819-809-0999. And if you are in the UK, message me directly and I will send you the link. So that being said, this morning was our first group ride, and it took us all a little bit to get up on Swift, up in the chat room. But the thing is that we're all moving through this together. And if you end up joining late, don't worry. You've got lots of people who can help direct you. And it just takes one gathering to get yourself up and running with us. And so we were having a conversation. We were talking about food and nutrition and when to eat it, what to eat. Because, through my own personal experience, you don't eat the same for inside training to outside training. So when I jumped on Swift, I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to eat the same way, eat the same things at the same time. And I am really glad I did not barf it all up because it is not the same. So if you think about outside riding, we get on our bike, we slowly warm up, we're out there for a while. Even if you're racing, you have a significant amount of time before you actually hit the start line. And ideally, the start line is, unless you're doing say a crit, and even that is not you have time to warm up. You have time to digest your food. Whereas when, and nutritional timing is a huge thing when you're riding outside, eating and fueling well ahead of time so that you have the right amount of, a higher calorie count in your body, so you're already building on the energy that's producing and is going to sustain you longer before you start eating again, versus riding inside. If you've ever raced inside or tried a race, it is you're off 110% from the start to the time you finish. And in that timing, you need to have eaten well ahead of time so that you have quick, accessible energy. You cannot down food before a race on Swift and expect to produce or even feel good while you're in participating, because it just doesn't work. I mean, you can try it. I encourage you to try it. I tried it and it did not work out well. So I've changed up my eating plan when I race. I eat well in advance, 2 hours, so that it is digested first and foremost and readily available as energy source. And maybe, I haven't done it yet, I will take a gel or cubes or something. That's when I would use these. I don't use them outside ever. But racing inside is so different. You're on 100% from start to finish. But your training rides are different. In the morning, you could probably get away if it's an endurance ride, depending how long it is. If it's an hour, you can put off breakfast. Maybe just start up with your coffee and then have breakfast afterwards. I was talking about certain things, when you're riding inside, with certain things to eat. I'm not a huge fan of bananas. I don't know. They just never worked for me, and I never felt that they were one of those food sources that I would, as a go-to. I would maybe put them in my meal replacement shake to add calories, but that's probably about it. So I was talking about saving the protein shake for afterwards. Protein is a slow energy source. So you do not want to be drinking protein shakes before any kind of riding and racing. You definitely want to have your protein shake post-ride. That's when you need it for recovery and muscle development. So post-ride is for your protein shake. Because a lot of people get those mixed up. Meal replacement shake is the ones that I talk about from Isogenics they have protein in them. So they are a meal. They also have carbs and fat and probiotics, and all the vitamins and minerals. So that's why they're just so robust. And then I add extra calories to it to make a huge 500 calorie meal that I can actually drink down instead of sitting and eating and trying to digest. So going back to just the inside is, bagels and peanut butter, wraps and basically anything in peanut butter, honestly. I don't know how you feel about peanut butter, but peanut butter is one of those things that, they're just, I think every athlete probably travels with a bottle or like a jug of peanut butter. I know I do. It's one of those things that are with me all the time. Oats are another one. And nuts, but nuts take a long time to digest. So you have to think about things that are readily and easily digestible. If you have jams are like the equivalent to gels. So instead of spending lots of money on gels, just get a jar of jam and, have 3 tablespoons of that while you're riding. That, if you've ever made jam, you know exactly how much sugar goes in there. There's a ton of sugar in jams. And then, it's all natural because of the fruit base. So these are things to consider for eating before your indoor ride. Now, outside is more like I was saying, you can eat right up to the moment you get on your bike. And I've done so many times. Like I was saying, my meal replacement shake, I make that. It's like 500 to 600 calories. It's a base meal. Plus I add oats for more carbs and almond butter and maybe a banana or frozen avocados. And that just boosts it right up. And so it will sustain me for a good hour and a half, 2 hours until I start refueling. But it's so important to think about nutritional timing with regards to how you're eating and what you're eating, and experiment with more stuff. Think about more carb-related snacks that you can put together. Here's something. I put together just my first version or my first edition of cycling snacks. And you can go get that list. These are bars and other gel type snacks that you can make from home if you go to askcoachsylvie.com and just download the free downloadable cycling snacks recipes. There's like 4 or 5 of them in there, and I've tested them all out. And they're just amazing to make. And I wish I had time to make those again because my kids love them. So that was kind of like part of our conversation, because when you get into training, there's so many things. Well, there's a list of things to consider to properly train, to get the most out of your training. And having good nutritional base is one of them, because if you're not fueling your body, you're not giving yourself the chance to have a really strong, hard workout, right? because you're always going to be tired and you're not going to have the energy to do the workout. So if you show up, and I see this so many times, especially when we train at night, is you showing up and you haven't eaten since noon. Well, can you just imagine how much energy you're not going to have when you're trying to respond to a drill or an acceleration or an interval that requires you to work really hard so that you can, be fatigued afterwards, break down muscle groups so that in the recovery phase, you'll actually get faster. And if you go in with, like your intermittent, I'm going to go there. I'm not even going to go to intermittent fasting, but if you come in without a proper meal, then it is really kind of a wasted session. So it's really important to think about that and put importance on food. I cannot preach enough. I've been doing this for myself for decades, and so it's just second nature. You don't want to bonk. If you've ever bonked once, you don't want to do it again. Bonking is basically depleting everything and having absolutely no energy, and you basically have to stop until you replenish your glycogen stores, like your sugars, and so that you can actually move again. And being in that state, whether it's inside or outside, it hurts your body because you've depleted your body. Now you're trying to stuff it full of food so that you can actually finish what you're doing. And then, then you have to play catch up. So it's really important to be smart. Think about the kind of snacks that you're going to have on hand or make and freeze so that you have them for your training sessions. Like rice snacks, oats, things like sweet potato, of the like, and whatever it is or bagels. Like I said, bagels and peanut butter are a serious go-to. And if you have allergies, well, it just requires extra research on your part to make sure that you have the proper snacks for you. So if you have questions, I'm always open to receiving those and giving you answers. Message me on Instagram on my personal page or on the podcast page. Or even on Facebook. Facebook's probably the fastest. And, just say, what do you recommend? Or, I have this, is this a good idea? But download the free cycling snacks recipe. So if you go to askcoachsylvie.com, you can get that. I have other free downloadables there. Make your training ride, take your nutrition seriously, because, it'll just provide you the best experience and you'll improve. There was another thing that one of the girls asked, about being fatigued. And here's another thing to think about when you're training. And because a lot of people think about, okay, well, today I feel really tired, but it's really not about today. It's about the week leading up to today. So, did you have good quality sleep? And this is a podcast I'm going to do, talk about is sleep, how important that is. So sleep, have you been in a stressful environment, like say your work is overly stressing you and you haven't been able to sleep, or maybe you started getting into some late night training or racing that's and you just haven't been able to get a good sleep off of that. So you're kind of running on a deficit. You haven't been eating well. You haven't been exercising. So it's all these things that lead up to your day and how you're going to show up. Especially then you show up and you haven't had breakfast and you're like, why am I so tired? Well, so a lot of these things make up how you feel on the day. It's not just about your day or last night. I drank 2 bottles of wine with a friend and I'm feeling it. Well, that might be something completely different. But do you know what I mean? So it's important to think about what you have been doing leading up to that training or your event. So it's really important. That's another reason why, joining the program. I've kind of set it up where we train every second to third day, and there's strength training included or as an add-on, and you're thinking about that. And it's like a no-brainer. It's like joining and saying, okay, this is when you're going to train. This is what you're going to train. I've gathered goals. Some of your goals are going to, we're going to do something a little different for you because of what you're looking to achieve in the spring. But it's just relieving to not have to wonder what to do and then doing all these other things that aren't going to serve you. But yeah, so back to nutrition. Super important. Make that an important factor of your training. I can't stress it enough. I can't talk about it enough. And like I said, if you have questions, let me know. So with that, have an amazing weekend. If you're here around me, this is probably the last nice weekend. Make sure you get out for a ride, or, you just spend all your time outside doing gardening like I am. So with that, have a great one. And, Monday's episode is going to be super cool. We're back with Pam Harper, who started a Facebook page, I Love Gravel Racing, and she's a gravel racing queen. She's also retired. And she's having a great fun, but she is doing some cool stuff with her gravel page, and I cannot wait to share that with you. So if you're getting into gravel riding or racing or participating in events, you're going to want to listen to this episode, and you might want to participate in what she has going on for the community. So with that, have an amazing day. Love you all, and get out and ride your bike. Thank you so much for spending this time with me on the Secrets from the Saddle podcast, learning more about sighting people, places, and things that make cycling such an exciting sport. I am so glad you stopped by today. Please leave me a review if you feel so moved to do so. I would love to hear your feedback. And if you could take 1 second to share this episode with someone you think would enjoy it, I would be forever grateful. Also, if you could please leave me a review if you feel so moved by going to iTunes and leaving me an honest thought and an honest comment, telling me what you think, and most importantly, tell me what you'd like to hear more of. It would really help me to bring more great, inspiring cycling stories to you. Until then, have an amazing day, make sure you ride your bike, and don't forget to visit my YouTube channel if you'd like to see the full version of this podcast live.